So, are we ready to direct, Ollie? Do you know what's going on today? Or do you just not care? I'm guessing it's the latter. Is that right? You're probably safest up there though, aren't you? Rather than ransacking the desk. Hi there, it's Anne of Rosie Duck Designs here. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. As you can see, I do have my director in his rightful place. I'm also trying to remember to look in the camera at the right angle. It is again a quite dreary, horrible November day, but it is slightly lighter, so we're going with the non-lighted effect, which I'm hoping will come out okay. So I'm back as promised, and finally to talk about the little mini pizza boxes, and specifically the gold mini pizza boxes, which are available in the autumn winter catalogue, and they come under the wrapped in plaid suite, which you will find on page 13, and they cost £6.50, and you get 8 of those, and they are food safe. So they are basically the same size as the little mini pizza boxes that we're all used to, but they have got this lovely gold finish to them, which I absolutely love, I have to say. I don't know, if I'm totally honest, whether they're going to carry over at all into the... They're certainly not featuring in the new catalogue that comes out for January, but sometimes some of the products do carry over and are still orderable. I don't know if that is going to be the case with these. So my advice, if you would like them, is to put an order in sooner rather than later, because believe it or not, there are only just a few weeks now left of the autumn winter catalogue, and basically if something's not carrying over, if it sells out, then that will be the last opportunity to buy them. I have to say, when I came to prep this, I actually found I'd only got 2 left myself, so I'm going to take my own advice, because I just think these are going to be really nice to have in stock, basically, even if they don't carry forward, because they just make such lovely gift boxes. So just way back, there's a video somewhere on my channel about a pizza box. Well, there's probably several if I'm honest, but just to run through a few ideas of how you can use them. I'm looking at this one. This is a little bit battered now, but this was my sample one of the gift I made for on stage, I think a couple of on stages back, and basically November 18, there you go, a year ago. But I found these little tea light holders in a garden centre, which were the perfect size, just fitted in there, so that made quite a nice little gift. They are, I'm going to leave that out because I just want to use that as my sample. You can also put in 4 nice smelling tea lights, so that works. You can also add the little mini bath bombs, so they're about the shape of a cherry, and I've worked out that you can get 9 of those in there. They tend to sell them at tens for about £1 or something, or £1.50. Probably the price has gone up. I haven't got them anymore, but actually you've got 10 and 9 fitted in there quite nicely, and you had one left over for your own bath, so that was rather nice. So that works. You can also put in, oh sorry, did I wake you up? There's a rustling of paper. Now these are not edible, I have to say, because these have been with me probably for about 18 months. But these are my demo chocolates. So you can just fit in some nice Boss chocolates. They will also fit in there. I often think it's quite a nice addition when you go perhaps out for a meal. We always, if someone comes to us or we go to them, there's usually a bottle involved somewhere along the line. But also just a little box of a few little treats is also quite a nice little addition. So if you've got some of these to hand, you've always got a little gift box that you can use. Also, fairly recently, you will have seen my little card that I did in the mini pizza box for the baby. And I was thinking on that line, if you've got a golden wedding anniversary celebration coming up, that would be perfect to use to do one of those little mini cards for a special anniversary card. I've nearly finished waffling. They are also, no, I've just said they're not edible. Put them where I can see them, shall I? Yes, so where's it gone? There it is. They're also cookie size, food safe as I said. And Jim and I were away recently, and in the hotel room when we arrived there were these two white chocolate cookies. Now I have to say, they were sitting in the fridge waiting for me to do this video. He found his and ate his, but I've been really, really good, and I've kept mine just so that I could share this with you on this video. So as you see, that fits in very nicely as a little treat into a little mini pizza box. And it's really good that I haven't got a cup of coffee up here, because I probably would have been very tempted to just munch on that during the video. And finally, this stamp set is sadly gone, but we didn't leave when I way back when I did the last video about pizza boxes and gift boxes. You can also make one for your pet as a gift, or for someone else's pet as a gift. Now, as I say, we don't have this anymore, but you could always resort to putting either the cat or the dog on the top, obviously with something coordinating underneath. But if you get a small little packet of treats, then you can give a gift to a pussycat or a dog. Now that was a free sample I got, which I have to say is out of date. It's not registered what I've actually got in this box, which is helpful. But I will give him a couple of crunchy bits when we go back downstairs. So that's sort of just running through a few ideas of how you could use the little mini pizza boxes. But we're concentrating on the gold ones. Now they come flat packed, very simple to put together. Okay. Fed up with directing, are you? Need a rest? Are you working out how to seal the chocolate? Seriously not having. So let's put this together. Sensible to bend all of your creases while it's flat. That's what happens when you get distracted with an animal. So there we are, put together. So just a few ideas. Carrying on from the copper cards that I did in the last video with the cats and the dogs, you could, it doesn't have to be a gift for a cat or a dog, it can be a gift for somebody who just likes cats or just likes dogs. So that's one of the ideas. So you could cut, this is gold foil and that is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that would attach to the lid. And then your dog or your cat could sit in there, and you could put the same design on the front, obviously without the gold foil. You can just add your cat or your dog. It's also the little heart punch that is part of this dog builder punch, so you could add the little heart if you wanted to onto that. Now that is basic black cardstock, and that has been cut out using a stitched shaped framelit die, and it's the largest square one. I've just run that through the Big Shot. Now with what I'm sharing with you today, you don't have to have a Big Shot and you don't have to use these to cut out your square. Just cut out a square of 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 and then another square by 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. It's just slightly over, so you could go 2 3/4 or 2 1/2, whatever you fancy. There's room on there for either to work. So you don't need, as I say, you don't need the fancy edging round here. You could just use that as a square. If you've got the detailed trio punch, you could just add a little bit of detail into the corners if you wanted to. So all is not lost if there is not a Big Shot in your crafting supplies at the moment. So that was the dog and that was the cat punch. Alternatively, you could have the dog, for argument's sake, on the front, and then I've just heat embossed these little paws out of the Happy Tales stamp set. So with my gold square on there, I've just put some little paws on there, and that would work obviously either with the dog or with the cat. But if your recipient is not particularly into animals and prefers something floral, then we've got the Floral Essence suite. So this stamp here, which is the same one that I use in the 65th anniversary card. So I'm not going to sort of drone on about that all over again, and I'm going to do a little bit of heat embossing with the Daisy stamp in a moment. So the same principle applies, but basically I've done 2 of these, heat embossed them with gold embossing powder, stuck them together onto, and what I've used is basically the white vellum. So we put what I've also done is, again, using that 3 1/4 square for the lid, I've used this stamp set here, sorry, stamp, not a stamp set, the stamp out of the Floral Essence set. I've just stamped that onto basic black cardstock, and I've heat embossed that to just give it a nice floral element when you lift the box up. So on the top of that, you can add these flowers. Now because you've got vellum, it's quite, it will hold its shape. So what I've done is I've basically stuck 2 of them together, and then for the one that's in the centre, with my bone folder, I have been a little bit more drastic in the way that I've curled it up, so that it, rather than sitting as a flat flower like these, it's looking more like a bowl. And there's 2 reasons for that. I just wanted a bit of variety, and also it's going to fit better onto the little box. And you could obviously add to that a gold faceted gem in the middle. I'll just do this one, and I would stick those on with I think glue dots, because I don't necessarily want them any more raised up than that. So actually I think I'm going to use these eventually, so let's just stick them all on there. I think it needs a bit of bling, especially on a day like today. There we go. So you've got some pretty little flowers that I would be sticking across the top, and that would be ideal, I think, for perhaps some nice chocolates to go into that. So that's just a few little ideas. What I'm actually going to do is put one together, and I've got a friend who is particularly fond of brooches. So Jim and I were at a craft fair on Sunday, and I found this little felt handmade brooch. So I thought that was an ideal little gift for her. So I'm going to actually put that into a little mini pizza box, using it as a gift box. So we're just going to decorate that as the gift box for this. So I've got my box made up, and I'm going to stick with this little inset. No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. No, brain freeze. No, forget that. Wipe that. If only. No, I'm not doing that at all. Right, but I am using one of these 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 stamp squares. See, I need coffee. Seriously, I need coffee. That moment where I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this? Yeah, you're no help, are you, Ollie? Supposed to be in control of all this. I'm just going to centralise this in the top of my lid. I think that's a big plan. Focus on what the cat's doing. It's dangerous when he starts washing though. It's what you call perfect timing. So I'm not going to bother with the bottom, because I'm going to put some shredded paper into there. So I've got my square on there, and what I'm actually going to do with this, I've got a pre-cut piece of the basic black cardstock, and I've again obviously cut that out with my square stitched shape die. And let's put these to one side before I get even more confused. So taking, let's try the one that hasn't got anything on it. Organised as ever. Now let me get my Embossing Buddy. I'm just going to run that over my black cardstock. I know I say this every time, but this is invaluable when you're embossing anything, because it stops the little bits of powder sticking to the areas that you really don't want it to stick to. So I am getting a stamp from the A Big Thank You. It's all coming back to me now. And I thought it was quite appropriate, this stamp. Friends are flowers in the garden of life. I thought that kind of went well with the fact that the brooch was a flower. Okay, oh, there they are. I thought for one horrible moment I'd left those. I knew I got them out. Oh dear, let's get a grip. As I quite often say, there are plenty of sensible YouTube videos out there. Watch mine if you want a laugh and find out how not to craft. So I'm going to stick that in the middle. And then I'm going to take a piece of just scrap paper. I've got my gold embossing powder. Just going to shake that over the bit where we've got the stamp. I'm just knocking off the excess, and then I'm going to put this back in the pot before I do anything to it that I shouldn't. Like knock it over. And then I'm just taking a little paintbrush just to make sure that there's nothing else left on the little square that I don't want to be there. Just a tiny bit down there. Just knock it one final time. And I've got my heat gun. I don't know whether that showed up as it heats up and actually takes on, did it? Oh, that's good. So I'm not sure whether I've got room for any of these little flower stamps on here. Yeah, that would work, wouldn't it? So just take that off. I forgot the small one, but never mind. So Embossing Buddy. Although I've done it once, it will have blown off with the heat being applied, like the hairdryer effect. So I'm just going to do the area that I want to put the two new stamps on. Now you could do it all at once, but I think that is kind of a recipe for disaster. So there's more chance of smudging it. So in just my opinion, but in my opinion, it's better doing it in a two-step series of tasks, because once that is embossed, you can't damage that. So again, I'm putting my powder on the area that I've got the stamp. Are you with it so far, Ollie, or have you gone to sleep? You've gone to sleep. So again, I'm just going to emboss that. As your tool heats up, you'll find that it will emboss that much quicker. And the other thing is, keep your fingers out the way, because it is like the effect of a hairdryer, and it is hot. And yes, I am speaking from experience. So I'm going to stick that onto the lid. Sticking that in roughly in the middle. I don't know whether I want these on here, so I'm just going to have a look. No, I don't like that. So, but it's always worth checking. So that's basically my box is finished for the inside. I just want to concentrate now on the outside. I'm going to put something very simple on the outside, and that is a little, well, the larger of the daisies from the Daisy Lane stamp set. But I'm actually going to make a 4-layered daisy. So I've done the 2 and obviously stuck a gold faceted gem onto that. So let's just do the other 2 daisies. And so basically the same principle applies with this one. So what I'm going to do with this, it's the same principle that you would be using if you go with that stamp and punch to make these flowers. Those flowers. So putting my stamp on my block, just going to run my Embossing Buddy over the vellum. Slightly creamier on that side. I'm not actually sure if there's a right way or a wrong way, but it kind of looks a bit slightly whiter on this side, so I'm going with this side. In the great scheme of things, I really don't think it actually matters. So Versamark. $25 flies, isn't it, when you're having fun? I needed a bigger block, if I'm honest. Should have bought a bigger block. I'm hoping this is going to work. It should do. Let's do one at a time. Running out of room. So again, I'm just taking off any little bits of excess that I don't want on there. Sorry. I'm crafting a bit like I cook, aren't I? What do you want, that flower or not? Speak, tell me what you want.
Tidy.
Okay. No, you're quite right, it's not. You are getting good at this crafting thing, aren't you?
Learning.
Yeah, that's actually quite a valid point, because sometimes when you're doing some embossing, you think it's all done and it isn't. So it's always a really good idea to just pick it up when you've finished embossing, just to make sure, and then just check it over. If it isn't, like it was in that instance, then just go back over it with your tool and it will obviously finish the job. So we're going to cut that one out. So I can get the paper in the punch. It's be exactly technical, is it? But there you go. So that's one of the daisies. For the sake of the amount of space on my tablet, I think we'll pause the video and I'll do the other one and then I'll come back and put it together. So I've now got my two daisies. Now for the first one, rather than curling it upwards, I'm going downwards. Just a note of caution, it is quite strong vellum, but don't get too ferocious with the curling. Particularly more so with this one. This type of flower's got very thick leaves, but these are quite thin, and if you get a bit too rough with them, then you can obviously finish up losing a petal, and the last thing we want is a wilting flower. So I'm doing that one downwards, and then I'm going to stick two stamping dimensionals under that. The first one I'm going to take off the cover, and then the other one I'm going to stick on top of that. So this is the normal size dimensionals. I'm just going to stick that on the top, but I'm going to leave the cover on just for the moment. Now with this one, I'm going to curl it up the way we tend to do flowers, with the petals coming upwards. But because I've got 4 basic layers for this flower, I just wanted a little bit of sort of movement in it, basically. So I'm going to stick that now on top of there, so interlocking the petals basically, and I'm going to use a couple of glue dots for that. So because I'm trying to place them and stretch them out a little bit, I'm actually using my finger to take them off rather than taking the element that you want to stick to the glue dot and picking the glue dot up, which is the normal way of doing things. To make sure this sticks, I want to, I'm going to put 3. So I want to make sure these go. I'm going to squash that down a little bit because I can always unsquash it. It's probably not a word, is it, unsquash it, but you know what I mean. So I've now got one going downwards and one coming upwards, and then the one that I've already made, they're both coming upwards. But what I'm going to do then is I'm going to stick another dimensional onto there, because I just want a bit more height in it, because otherwise you might have 4 layers but it's not necessarily that obvious. So I want so I'm just going to curl this down again. And then raise some of the top layers up just a little bit more. And yes, I know I'm going to start running out of time again. 32. I'm getting quite good at sticking these videos together though, to be fair. So I'm going to take the backing off of the Stampin' Dimensional, and I'm just going to stick that towards the back of the box in the middle. So you've got a nice full flower there, and you can obviously play around with that even when it's on the box to just lift a petal or 2 up. But for the sake of this video, I think that will do for now. And I'm just going to finish that off using a piece of ribbon and a bow. It probably needs a drum roll. And I'm using the, thank you for that. What am I using? I'm using the gold ribbon from the Christmastime is Here suite. And this is a product suite that was launched on the 1st of November. You have to ignore the rubbish colours, the ink was running out. But basically it's a suite of products that's available while stocks last. And it's got basically a gold theme running through it and roses through it. So whilst there are some, I think there's about 2 specific seasonal stamps, the rest of it is very much roses and leaves and things like that. So actually it's a suite that you can use right through the year and for any sort of occasion. So don't be put off by the name, thinking, oh, I haven't got much longer to use that. It will see you through to this time next year, I have to say. Very, very pretty. So fiddle with the bow. Just trying to tighten it a little bit. No, the bow's gone wrong. Do you want to pause it again? Right, so basically it just got a bit loose, so I've tightened it up a bit again. I think this is about as good as it's going to get, I have to say, for me. Stick a couple of glue dots on the back there. I have to say I bought this ribbon on the basis of it's a really, really nice thin ribbon, and I was thinking I could use that even just to do some presents up or to put round a neck of a bottle with a gift tag or something like that, because we all know that actually ribbons and bows don't really gel together, do they? There's an art form to tying a bow, and sadly I don't have it. So that is as good as my bow is going to get. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the ends off, just so that the ribbon doesn't have to fit onto the top of the box. It can just hang over the edge and make more of a statement. And hopefully take people's eye away from the centre of the actual bow itself. So there's the top of my box, and then inside I've just put some shredded tissue paper, which actually coordinates quite well with the gift. And I'm just going to put the little gift brooch in the middle and close the box. Flatten the bow. So there we have it, a little mini gold pizza box used as a little gift box. So I do hope that has given you some ideas of how you can use either the gold ones or the straightforward white ones. My next video is going to feature one of the stamp sets that appeared in the sale recently. Very simple card, but quite effective. So that's going to be, it's the one with the fragrance bottles on it. I can't remember its exact name, but that would be my next attempt at crafting. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and as usual, all the things that I've used can be purchased via the link to my online shop, which will be on the front of the video. There's also a link to my blog on the front, and from there you can access obviously my blog and my social media. If you'd like to subscribe to my blog, that will keep you up to date with all things, all news from Stamping Up, and you will also have access to my monthly newsletter on there. Finally, if you've enjoyed the video, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated, and if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would also love that as well. So exciting times ahead. The new catalogue is not too far away, so December is going to be a time when I'll start to share some of the products that we'll find in there. So that's it for now. Thanks ever so much for joining us today. So from my cameraman, from a distracted director, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, Ollie. Turn your head. Say goodbye. And from me. So do take care, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.